Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Amen.
I'm going to ask my helpers, the children of the parish, to come up front for the sermon today. I talk to them first, and then I'll talk to all the grown-ups. Not that you can't listen, grown-ups, as we talk. So sit where you can face me. Come on. So I want to talk with you today. We had a really long story in the gospel where a whole lot of things happened in it. But one of the things that happened is there were two sisters who were really, really sad. Really sad. So I want to talk with you about being sad. And first of all, you tell me, what happens when you're sad? What do you do when you're feeling sad? Does anybody cry when you're feeling sad? It's not a hard question. Does anybody cry when you're feeling sad? No, you never cry when you're feeling sad? I'm reminding you that you're in church, and the truth is a good thing to stick to. So somebody else in your family cries. How about you? Do you ever cry when you're feeling sad? Sometimes. Does anybody just want to go to their room when they're feeling sad? Yeah, some people just want to go to their room. Does anybody want to hide it when you're feeling sad? Not let anybody know when you're feeling sad? Sometimes people do that. They don't want to let anybody know that they're feeling sad. They try and pretend like everything is okay. Have you ever tried to pretend like everything is okay when you're feeling sad? Sometimes we've done that too. Usually that's when we're with friends or with school and we don't want to cry in front of anybody else. But sometimes you're just really, really sad and you can't help but cry. That's what you do. And it's okay if you cry when you're really, really sad. Well, what happened with these two sisters is their brother died. And they were feeling terribly sad. Because when your brother dies, it means you don't get to see him anymore. And even though you're happy that he goes to heaven and gets to be with God and all that wonderful stuff, you miss him. When somebody you love dies, then you really miss them, and that makes you really, really sad. And they were so sad that they couldn't help but cry. And everybody was crying with them. The whole neighborhood was crying with them. All their friends were crying. Everybody was all feeling sad. And these two sisters, though, when they felt really sad and Jesus was there, they didn't go to Jesus and try to pretend like everything was okay. They just told Jesus that they were really, really sad. Sometimes when we go to church on Sundays, we're happy because we're going to church and seeing people that we know. We're looking forward to seeing our friend. I know some of you have friends here that you see on Sundays. So you're looking forward to seeing your friends. Anybody looking forward to coffee hour and running around on the playground? We're looking forward to coffee hour and running around on the playground. So there's some fun stuff to look forward to at church, and that's how we think of coming to church. But sometimes when you come to church, you're sad too. And what those sisters would want us to know is it's okay to be sad when you come to church. Because it's okay to tell God, it's okay to tell Jesus that you're feeling sad. And it's even okay to be around other people at church when you're sad. You don't have to cover it up. You don't have to pretend like everything is okay. You can just say, I'm feeling sad. And in your prayers, you can even tell God, I'm feeling sad. So here's what I want you to do the next time you're feeling sad. And if you're a person who cries when you're sad, or if you're a person who goes to your room when you're feeling sad, or if you're a person who tries to cover it up when you're feeling sad, no matter which one of those things you do, you can still tell Jesus. So even though you're crying, you can cry and say, Jesus, I'm really sad. And even if you're trying to cover it up from your friends, you can say, Jesus, I'm covering it up from my friends, but I'm telling you I'm really sad. Or if you're in your room by yourself to hide so nobody else knows, you can tell Jesus when you're in your room. But we always go to Jesus when we have things to pray about. or when we need Jesus to help us with something, but we can also go when we're feeling sad. Is that something you think you can try the next time you're feeling sad? Okay, I want you to try it, and after you try it, I want you to come and tell me about it, okay? Because I want to know how it goes. We'll see. We'll try it and see what happens, okay? All right, you go back to your seats. I'm going to talk to your parents for a little bit. And the same goes for you. When you're feeling really, really sad, you can still come to church. And you can still go to Jesus with those same things. We don't have to pretty it up. We don't have to make it better. We don't have to hide it. We can just come to Jesus with those things that make us sad, the same way Mary and Martha did. The thing that I also want to talk to you about, you didn't think you were going to get off on the 5th Sunday of Lent. You've gotten homework every single Sunday. You didn't think you were going to get away with no homework just because it's the Children's Sunday for a sermon. Not happening. Of course there's something to share with you, and especially in this passage. And I just have to say, we have gotten the richest stories in John these Sundays where we've been getting these long passages where we hear the full story. It's rare for us in a gospel reading to hear the full story, the whole piece. We usually get a snippet. But we've gotten these full stories that are wonderfully rich, and this Sunday is no exception. If you read this passage every single day this week, I promise you, I guarantee you, you will read something different every single day that applies to your life. Because this story is so packed. There's so much going on in it. This is a preacher's dream to preach on this kind of passage, and I would need a couple of hours, but I know I don't have that this morning. Episcopal tradition, not Baptist. So, here we are, and I've already given part to the children, but I want to give a part to you. The place where I kept coming back to when I was thinking of us this week is right at the end there, when Jesus speaks directly to Lazarus. Lazarus, come out! Directly to him in that strong voice, and then he comes out and he says to him and to everyone else, take off those bindings and let him go. I think this speaks to us as strongly as it does to Lazarus. Here is Jesus to us today saying, Lazarus, come out. St. Peter's come out. Christianity come out. Put your name in the blank, because he's saying your name too. Come out. Come out of those tombs. The ones that we have built for ourselves. The ones that others have built for us. The ones that the culture has constructed all around us. And worst of all, the one that modern Christianity has become. Because yes, that is what we have become. We've become a whole set of rules that we try to live by, that make it one of those things where it's not okay to come to church if you're sad. It's not okay to come to church if your act is not together. It's not okay to come to church if you don't know what you believe and if you're asking questions. And most of all, that you gotta come in here, into church in the first place. I keep thinking, what would happen on Easter Sunday if Jesus showed up at churches? I think he would be running around saying, what are you doing inside? I was out there with a bunch of people trying to teach them how to lead a life that's connected to God. Out there, not in these buildings. And you know how impressed we are with our buildings, how much work we put into them, how much work we put into this one this year alone. And I'm not saying that that work doesn't have to happen. Absolutely, it has to happen. But we've taken ourselves a far piece away from the ministry that Jesus began. And it's hard for us because we've made Christianity such a safe, prescribed place. It's hard for us to lead that kind of life that Jesus wants for us as Christians. So here he is saying to us, come out. Get out of those tombs. Walk away from those places where we're trapped, just like prison, that we cannot get out of. Come into the fullness of life, into that towering kind of faith that God imagined for us before we were even born, that God breathed into us when we came out of the womb, that has this plan for us that's heroic, that's epic, that's on a large scale. Come out and into that. Into something wonderful, into something wondrous, into something that looks like Jesus Christ's ministry on this earth. Now, I'm talking metaphorically for a minute, but hear me now. Do not mistake me. I am not saying the metaphor of Lazarus came out of that tomb. It was Lazarus, a man, a human being. Something miraculous happened. That God called a dead man back into life. And Jesus, I think, is waiting for us to get ourselves out of our pews, out into the world, and start praying like that. To start laying our hands on people. I think you've come to know me in these almost 4 years together, that I expect that when I walk into the room, you've already been praying. That you're not waiting to eat for the priest. That you're not waiting to pray for the sick for the priest. We've created this situation where we expect the ministers to hold the faith and everybody else to come to them to get some of the faith, and that's not what Jesus was teaching. Jesus was teaching that every single one of us has the same power and the ability that the disciples and the apostles had as they followed him to cast out demons, to cast out evil, to raise those who are sick and dying, if they'll just do it. We have to go for it, though. If we're sitting cowering in our tomb, back to the metaphor again, it's hard for us to do what Jesus had planned for us that has nothing to do with metaphor and everything to do with our standing in the reality and the miraculous that God has planned for us. It's as if when Jesus spoke to Lazarus saying, get those bindings off, let them go, that Jesus said the same thing to us today. And that's what our Lenten journey has been about. Getting those bindings off so that we can let go. Let go into that plan that God has for us. We let some things we let go of thinking about it, letting go of our annual Lenten self-improvement projects. That was a big deal. Most of us had a plan. We knew exactly how much weight we wanted to lose this Lent. Or how we were going to get stronger with our arm lifts, sit-ups, leg lifts, whatever it was. We had a plan. And we walked away from that plan, shaking off some bindings as we did it. So I want to offer you one more piece to add to your Lenten activities with all that we have been doing. To walk out of that tomb and into your prayer closet, into your place that is dedicated for prayer. In the past couple